You made it to week 6. Nice work, everyone. This is week 6, lesson 1, and we're here to talk about your 5th out of the top 6 inflammatory foods, which is cow dairy. Specifically cow dairy, because a lot of people are able to swap cow dairy out for sheep or goat dairy without having an inflammatory response or digestive conditions. There's some people who just can't do casein at all, and if you have an autoimmune condition, or specifically if you have parasites, they tend to like dairy, generally speaking. So if you have an autoimmune condition or if you have parasites, I would stay away from all dairy. But if that's not the case, then you have some really fun swaps that I'm going to show you for goat and sheep dairy. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about the science, of course, because you know me, I'm a science gal, and I love to share the whys behind what we're doing. So why cow dairy? Why is that inflammatory? So there's a few reasons. The first is that cow dairy has a large protein molecule that it's made up of, comprised of, and we need a certain amount of digestive enzymes to break down that large protein molecule. What happens from an evolutionary standpoint, way back when we were, again, go back to the hunter and gatherer caveman days, right? We would breastfeed, we would nurse our children till they were quite a bit older, 3-4 years old in many cases, or even older. And so from an evolutionary standpoint, our body actually creates more digestive enzymes from birth to around the age of 3 or 4. After that, our body actually begins to produce less and less digestive enzymes, making it more and more difficult to digest those large protein molecules that we find in cow dairy. Now, sheep and goat dairy actually have much smaller protein molecules that they're comprised of, and that is one of the reasons why sheep and cow dairy work so well why sheep and goat dairy work so well versus cow dairy. But a few more reasons why cow dairy can cause inflammatory response. Number 1, just like the lesson that clean protein deserves a food category of its own, cow dairy is often fed grain feed. So genetically modified corn, soy, and wheat. And those genetically modified foods, again, go into the animal, create toxicity, create inflammation, and it's passed through the milk. So whether it's yogurt, cheese, milk, whatever it may be, right, we actually absorb the inflammation from those genetically modified grain feed. In addition, dairy is notorious for adding antibiotics and hormones to the animals in quite large amounts that has been proven to throw off even our hormonal production in our body. And certainly, actually, there's a lot of medical research out there that says that the antibiotics given to these animals are beginning to make it so that our bodies become more immune to those types of antibiotics, right? So our bodies aren't able to receive the benefit of the antibiotics should we actually need them at some point in time in the future. So we don't want added antibiotics that are unnecessary for our body. We certainly don't want hormones that are not meant to be inside of our body. And we definitely don't want inflammation coming from genetically modified foods, all of which you typically find in cow dairy. Now, there is some grass-fed, grass-finished milk that I'm starting to see. The other trick is that pasteurized dairy is highly processed, and that actually takes away a lot of the nutritional benefit from cow dairy. So the best thing to do is move towards goat or sheep dairy. If you have a little one, right? I gave my daughter and my son, well, my son not so much because I didn't know any of this when he was little, but if you have a little one drinking out of a bottle or a toddler, goat dairy is a fabulous type of milk, goat milk, to give that's full of protein, higher protein than even traditional cow dairy, and nutrients that the body can break down really, really well. Some people really like it in their coffee as well, because that's one of the biggest things I hear. Well, what about my creamer? What am I going to put in my coffee? This is coconut milk out of a can. Notice it's non-GMO, organic. And if I read the ingredients, it's organic coconut milk. organic filtered water, and organic guar gum. So guar gum is a preservative, but it's the most benign preservative out there. So sometimes you can find these without any guar gum. If you get a canned coconut milk with guar gum, just know that it's generally pretty good. Why canned? So the reason I recommend canned coconut milk over boxed coconut milk or boxed almond milk or boxed hemp milk. There's so many oat milks. There's so many different boxed milks out there. The boxed milks tend to have a lot of preservatives and not so good for you. They tend to have a lot of fillers with refined inflammatory oils and then often hidden sugars. So the boxed milk is less than ideal. Canned coconut milk is my favorite. You can make your own hemp milk really easily. I believe it's 1 tablespoon of hemp seeds to 4 tablespoons of just plain water. You put it in a blender and you put it on high and blend it up. If you're a textured person, put it through a cheesecloth so that it's super smooth. I don't really notice it. I never put it through a cheesecloth. I always take the easy route when it comes to cooking. But that's another way to make your own homemade hemp milk. You can add little vanilla and sea salt if you want, or a little vanilla cream stevia for a sweetener. And then there is another milk, it's relatively new, that's a sprouted nut milk, which you can find in the grocery store, 0 preservatives, and it's called Malk, M-A-L-K, Malk. You'll find it in the refrigerator section of your grocery store. It doesn't stay good for a super long time because, again, there's no preservatives. I believe it's organic, and they even have some that's sweetened, but it's sweetened with pure maple syrup. And they have unsweetened. They have cashew, almond, and pecan, I believe. So 3 different types of milks. They're amazing. My kids love them. They're a lighter, kind of fresher type of texture and taste than canned coconut milk, which is much creamier. So those are a few milk options for those of you that like to enjoy your milk, have cereal, homemade cereal, granola cereal, which, I have the best granola recipe that you guys can find in the Facebook group. Or maybe you just want some creamer. The canned coconut milk is so good in your coffee. You want to make some hot chocolate for the kids. Canned coconut milk, so good. Cheese, though. So a lot of people then go, okay, they love their cheese, especially the kind of cheese that can get melted, make a quesadilla or put it on a hamburger. And there's a few different companies. This one just happens to be available in our local grocery store. It's called Mount Sterling. And they make a mozzarella, a jack, and a cheddar cheese. It's a goat cheese, but it's not pungent. When you think of goat cheese, we often think of something that's really pungent, but this is not pungent at all. In fact, it's very smooth. You can grate it. You can melt it. I'll make my kids quesadillas with it all the time using a sprouted non-GMO corn tortilla from Food for Life. Or you can make a grilled cheese sandwich, which the Ezekiel bread. My lasagna that you can find in my book. I use this cheese for it. It's delicious. It's so good. So there's different brands, but you can definitely look for goat mozzarella, cheddar, and jack. And again, they don't have that same pungent goat taste that the soft goat cheese has. Some people, there's different vegan style cheeses. If the only vegan cheese that I would recommend is your own homemade cashew cheese, where you blend up the cashews. The kind you buy at the grocery store that I've found always has refined oils, which we're going to talk about next week, like canola oil or a seed oil that's been heated up. So if you find a vegan cheese and you want to see if it's good, just take a picture and post the ingredients in our Facebook group, and tag me and I'll let you know. But typically those are the best options. And then the last one in terms of dairy that a lot of people ask me about is yogurt. And so this is a really Redwood Hill Farm. It's a very commonly found goat yogurt throughout grocery stores across the country. And it's a plain yogurt. So yogurt is full of sugar. Flavored yogurts are chock full of sugar. This is plain. It has 6 grams of protein in one serving, which is amazing. A really high protein content. And my kids love this with vanilla cream liquid stevia. You add some vanilla cream liquid stevia. It takes away any of it's a little bit more pungent than regular goat dairy, but when you add the vanilla cream liquid stevia, it makes it sweet, delicious, and to me it tastes like a dessert. Add some fresh berries. Oh, it's so good. So you could do the liquid stevia. They have a Valencia orange. They have a berry. They have vanilla cream. They have a bunch of different flavors you can play with to make it taste delicious. And if you're listening and you're one of the people that really doesn't like stevia, I feel like people either love it or really don't like it at all. If you're I don't like stevia at all kind of person, then pour just a tiny bit of pure maple syrup in it to give it that sweetener with some berries, and it's delicious. Okay, you guys, that is the deal on cow dairy. Those are the swaps that we're looking for. And it's fun. You can play with this. You can make the clean pizza that I have in my book and use this for it. Or you can make a cashew cheese just by adding like some garlic and herbs and cashews and putting it in a food processor and blending it up. Super simple. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you guys next with lesson 2, all about meditation and deep breathing to help support and heal the nervous system. Bye-bye.